Good morning. I'm here in George Washington Ferry Farm, also known as Boyhood home, here in Frederick City in Stafford County in Virginia. This is located in northern Stafford County across the Rappahannock River. It was built in 1738 and it was destroyed by fire in 1740. Only in July 2008, archaeologists found this farm of George Washington and they rebuilt it and restored it to the original replica of George Washington's boyhood home. Let's see what's inside this farm. Now watch this. I'm here in front of George Washington's boyhood replica mansion. The George Washington Foundation rebuilt this replica in 2015 after archaeologists restored and discovered it in July 2008. So remember, this was built in 1738 and it was destroyed by fire in 1740. So let's look inside George Washington's boyhood mansion. I'm making this video in commemoration of Labor Day on September 5, tomorrow. It's a long weekend here in the United States. And George Washington was a farmer. This is a marker of George Washington Boyhood Home Site, also known as George Washington Ferry Farm, also known as the Pine Grove, when it was built in the 18th century. It is a National Historic Landmark. This site possesses national significance in commemorating the history of the United States of America. Known as Ferry Farm, the primary home of George Washington from 1738 to 1754. This site is uniquely associated with Washington's formative years and the stories and traditions regarding his youth that became a fundamental part of American national culture. So it is open today, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Let's look inside. I'm inside the Museu of George Washington's Ferry Farm. So this is the reception. This is a beautiful painting of George Washington. You can see. I have to wear my mask because it is required now. So this is some of the features of this museum. So at the back is the office, but there's the history here. The Civil War comes to Ferry Farm in 1862. When the Civil War broke out, the Union began planning a way to capture the Confederate capital at Richmond, Virginia, and quickly end the rebellion. With Fredericksburg situated directly between Washington, D.C. and Richmond, it was only a matter of time before Ferry Farm found Union troops on its doorstep. In late April of 1862, cavalry from Union General Irvin McDowell's army of the Rappahannock advanced on Fredericksburg, and the Confederates quickly withdrew. The Union Army took possession of the city intact except for the bridges burned by the withdrawing Southerners on the retreat south across the river. Here, a peaceful but tense occupation. Just a taste of the history of the Ferry Farm. Now we are tenting along the Rappahannock. Here, when Johnny went marching home. So these are artifacts that was preserved and restored by the George Washington Foundation. The archaeologists dug under the ground, and they took some of these artifacts. So there is a toothbrush there. There is scissors. Bottles and some ware, porcelain, rack, traces of battle and bombardment. These are some of the carved mini balls during the Civil War, the hard hand of war. So this is a beautiful painting during the Civil War, the Confederates versus the Union Army. This was in 1863, and the war's aftermath. At my back is the archaeological dig. When they discovered this in 2008 of July. So they unearthed it and restored into its original foundation. So we will go here in George Washington's Boyhood replica home. Here, survival of the fittest. So these are some of the artifacts that were found when archaeologists are digging underground this site. From July 2008 up to its opening in 2015 by the George Washington Foundation. Behind me are the coins that was minted with the face of George Washington through the years. And on this side is the family tree of George Washington. So let's see, where is George Washington here? So this is George Washington. So his parents are Augustine Washington and Mary Ball Washington. His father married before his mother, so George Washington has half brother and sisters, Butler, Lawrence, Augustine, and Jane. And then he has full-blooded siblings, Betty, Samuel, John, Augustine, Charles, and Mildred. Then he is great grandparent on the father's side is Lawrence Washington and Mildred Warner. And his grandparents from his mother's side is Joseph Bull and Mary Johnson. Interesting family. Behind me is George Washington's replica mansion here in Frederick City, Stafford County in Virginia. Please hit the right bottom of your desktop screen if you haven't subscribed. This is Andrew Luis TV. YOLO, you only live once.